The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it is Friday in the Riv, and we got a lot of stuff to report today.
Oh, yeah. I mean, just look at the desk. We got stuff all over the place.
We've got stuff all over the place. And but the only good thing is no shootings, at least in the last day or so.
Yep.
So, but then again, remember, you don't have a bullet hole in your house, and I think you have a full conversation.
I actually do. I do have something that I need to read.
Since we started off, we want to talk about attitudes toward crime or lack thereof. Mm-hmm. You do have an actual firsthand of what the conversation that took place about that.
Yeah, this message comes from one of our continuous followers. Watches our show every day that's on. You know, and you all know him. It's Josh Sylvia. Okay? And he says, my conversation with Cougs went like this. We have 50 cops at the story time, and we have bullets flying all over the city. Cougs says, bullets aren't flying all over the city. I respond, I got a bullet hole in my house. Want to come check it out? Cougs says, oh, so because you have a bullet hole in your house, that means bullets are flying all over the city. I couldn't believe he said that. This is what your mayor thinks about safety.
I can believe it.
Yeah.
That's the same mayor that said anybody that didn't like what he was doing could go jump in the Taunton River. And if you don't like it here, move to New Bedford.
That's right.
And numerous other things. Listen, the only time Cougs pays attention is if one of his elitist friends.
That's right.
One of his connected friends. If they had a bullet hole in their house, they'd have a SWAT team down there. They'd have everything.
That's right.
You know, he does nothing at all except this segue quickly because we're not going to spend a lot of time on this. But again, like housing, nobody cares how many people get displaced by these exorbitant rents.
Right.
But look, exorbitant rents, and this is a familiar name.
Yep. Tony Cadero.
And it seems that the same few people, out-of-town developers come in and they pay their gatekeeper fee to we know who. Mm-hmm. And then, but everybody else in this city, it's the same old names all the time. And this is one of the ones. Cadero has been given a green light from the zoning board to move forward on another mixed-use development project slated to be built at 295 Bedford. They're really going nuts on Bedford Street here. And 57th Street, which is obviously runs from Pleasant to Bedford.
Right.
Properties were once home to Canton's Clunkers. We all know where that was.
Yep.
Yep. And Geronimo's Collision Center. Bedford Street proposal calls for the construction of a 6-story multi-use building consisting of up to 72 apartments units and up to 5,000 square feet of commercial space. The apartments will be market rate unit only with no, and the no is capitalized, and we all know what that means.
That's right.
No subsidized housing on site. So poor people, stay away from Bedford Street. You can't hang on Bedford Street anymore because you're going to have to show your income tax form to make sure that your income matches it. And this is a picture of something, I guess. That's one of the...
That's the Troy Street property.
Yeah, that's the Troy Street. You know what gets me about this?
That's the Merrill Building.
And I had to change my ink today, finally, you know, because everything came out like, I don't know what color. And it's costing me a lot of money, all this news, I'm telling you. But I'm looking at this, and if you look at this, CJ, it's ironic because they show like parking spots which don't exist during the day.
Well, I was gonna mention that because all of these properties have a waiver granted by the zoning board of destruction
Yeah.
that wants to destroy the neighborhoods, not to have the required parking spaces as required by
Yeah,
ordinance.
and-
I still don't believe that the zoning board of appeals has the right to waive that.
No, I don't think they do either, but the fact is, what are they gonna do, helicopter into their apartments? Maybe if they got enough money, they can have a parking
helipad
lot
put it-
and a helipad on
Yeah.
the top of the building. But if you notice these pictures, and I'll show it to you, they show a little parking lot in the back, but look I know that area well. You go down
So
there
do I.
during the day, you can't find a parking
That's right.
place. You can't find a parking
That's
place
right.
anywhere.
And I want to know where these people are going to park their cars. What are these
And-
things?
and you
They think all these people are going to come in out of the train and not have a car?
You see the front of the building, then what you see is the elevator.
Yep.
Maybe we can get a few homeless people to live in the elevator.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. And then they show the corridor. That's it. They don't show the apartments.
No.
But they show the corridor and the elevator. Nice elevator. I mean, some people probably nicer than most of the apartments people are living in. But again, total disregard, just like he disregarded Josh's comment.
Yep.
A citizen of a city and a property owner in a city that he is the mayor of, and he is totally dismissive and condescending. Yes, because you got a bullet hole in your house, but I can guarantee you, if one of his banker friends, lawyer friends, Indian chief friends, or whatever they are, they got a bullet hole in their house, there's going to be hell to pay in
That's
that
right.
neighborhood.
That's right.
I can tell you.
Well, what's interesting is you're talking about him being dismissive. I sent an email. Well, I made a phone call first, and he was unavailable to speak with me, which I can believe. I mean, he tends to be a busy guy, shaking hands and kissing babies. But I called about the new recycling program.
Yep.
And I said that I want to speak to the mayor or to Ann O'Neill Souza about the recycling program. Well, neither one of them are available. They're in meetings. I said, okay, fine. I'll leave my name and number. I left my name and number. I never got a phone call back. But I sent emails. And I sent it to his personal email address at the city, not mayor at. I sent one to mayor at. I also sent copies to city councilors, and I even sent copies to you.
Yeah.
And I said very clearly, this is not going to work. Because if you're going to go to an every other week collection of recycling and an every other week collection of cardboard, there's not going to be enough cardboard to justify it. And what's going to happen is, like happens at my house, at my property every week, my recycle bin is full.
Yeah.
Now, if I have to go every other week, what am I supposed to do with the recycling after it fills up my
You're going to
container?
do what everybody else does. Mix it with your regular
It's going to go in the
trash.
regular trash, which is going to increase our trash costs.
Of course.
Right.
Of course. And
And I said that. You know what my response to that
What?
was? I will refer this to the director.
yeah, and then they're going to fine you because they don't give you adequate pickup.
Right.
Because of another one of his harebrained ideas,
Right.
like this traffic pattern, that now we have to have police officers and arrows in the wrong way. And that was one of his major accomplishments
Yep.
as a mayor.
I know.
He fixed the traffic pattern.
Yep.
Not he fixed the police department. Not he stopped people from getting bullet holes in their houses. Not that he's actually moved education where he spent his lifetime to move up from 335th. What he did was create a lot of high-paying jobs in education. But this is all this guy does. He walks, and actually I heard from one of our loyal viewers that somebody was on a party line, no affiliation with us. I guess he calls a lot. Of course, he's classified as a complainer. And he basically said, we got to get rid of this guy. All this guy does is raise taxes and does absolutely nothing.
Right.
But of course, he's a complainer.
Yep.
But this is the whole problem with this guy. He just walks around. He was never a leader.
Only pockets.
Yeah, he got a job, and somebody told me he had some weird job. I got to confirm it. I'll have it next week. He said they actually created a job for him in the schools that he was all he did was tell people what forms to fill out for something. He wasn't teaching or anything. I don't think he ever really,
I don't think he's ever taught a class.
I think he was a sub, but even as a sub, they made sure he was working. And, that's the whole problem you got here. And that conversation And obviously, we know Josh because he worked on, and
Yep.
he did
He did a phenomenal job on the recall.
everybody who
Yep.
worked on a recall
Yep.
did a phenomenal job fundamentally. I mean, we had a very small group of people, but they did a lot of work, and we weren't running against, we weren't having a recall against Jazel Correa, who was indicted, and people were flocking to sign. These people had to work, stand there on their own time, get signatures for a mayor that had been elected by 70% of the vote, and they didn't think we had a chance. They did a great job. So obviously you know them, but it's irrelevant. It really is. It's irrelevant. That's not a double negative. It's not like the normal irregardless.
I was going to say irregardless.
Irregardless, the Fall River patented double negative.
Yep.
But it's irrelevant that we know him. What's relevant is the conversation, the attitude of a mayor. That's the dismissive thing. And just like Paulie high-fiving Paulie, but he always wasn't Paulie high-five. He's kind of like he's probably got split personality. You know, I don't know, they call it now dissociative personality disorder or whatever new euphemistic name they gave it. But we had a lot of reports of him telling students, you're never going to graduate, you're an idiot, you should just get out of school. You know, that's not what you do when you're supposed to be helping children.
And I've spoken to several people who graduated in spite of him, just to say, here's the bird. You know what I mean?
But again, he doesn't care. But that conversation says it all, regardless of, I don't care who he is. I don't care if he is somebody I dislike or anything else. A mayor of a city of Fall River, he's not even politically, you can tell he's a lifelong political tick that got jobs regardless of qualifications.
Right.
Because now as the mayor, he has the same attitude. I can just tell somebody, actually say something like that, be so dismissive to a voter, because, you know, most politicians who are actually politicians, not just some stooge they pulled out and used as a puppet, but somebody that's a real politician, they would never say anything like that.
No.
They would have been all over, that's terrible, you know, I know what a problem it is. They would have given you, you know how politicians are, a 10-minute speech and they say nothing.
Say nothing, right.
But they pretend they care.
Right.
See, that's the first rule in being a politician. I don't care if you have no intention of doing anything about it. You got to make people believe that that you care about them. As Tip O'Neill so aptly put it, all politics is local. And I know someone who was very close to Tip O'Neill. He was the president of the Harwich Firefighters Association. He used to see Tip all the time. And he said that man was just incredible. He said he would walk down the street and he would stop and talk to every single person. And that doesn't mean he liked every single, but he was a consummate politician.
Right.
The man engaged everybody because he understood that these are the people that kept him in office. This guy doesn't care. This is why it's so important that everybody gets out in this election. We've got to show them that 10,000 people are not going to control the city of Fall River. When we have a low turnout like that, Paul's employed at least 7,000 of them.
Right.
I'm being facetious. Don't call up and say that's not true. It's only 6,948 or something like that. It's just for effect. But this is the problem. You can't have 10,000 people. We had almost 17,000 people turn out for a special election in the middle of December in our recall. That's
a week before Christmas.
That's the highest turnout in about 8 years.
Right. Right.
So you can do it, people. You can do it. You bounce Flanagan, and we can bounce this guy.
Now, here's the thing. While we're speaking about that, you spoke on Monday at the
for my own self-interest,
for the Charter Review Committee. And here's where the people on this committee have no idea what they're talking about. Okay? This is a Charter Review Committee. This is not to make recommendations. This is only to make recommendations. It is not to go to the voters. It doesn't go to the voters until 10 years. Yeah. So it won't go for 5 more years until 2028. But according to Miss Rainey Georgia Brown, who's running for school committee, okay, Brown said if the recommendations get through the required approvals, realistically, they won't go before the voters until November 2024. They're not going before the voters until November 2028.
If they abide by the charter.
If they abide by the charter.
But then again, there you go, assuming they're going to abide by laws.
But remember, they're trying to remove your rights.
Yeah.
That's exactly what Miss Brown and Miss Laura Washington are trying to do, because Laura Washington said that elections are expensive. The review committee chairman, Rainey Brown, and the 8 other members have until June 30 to present a report on the charter review with recommendations to change portions of the document and make edits so it's more user-friendly, said Brown. While the move to change the language of what could trigger a recall failed, Brown said members will have time to revisit that and other charter issues. They want to make it 10% of the voters.
Oh, so what they did was give us lip service because we
Exactly.
were there. And that coward didn't even show up.
Right.
But it's expensive. So let me tell you something. City councilor, not elect, Washington, you're a disgrace to your seat and to democracy. You think it's too expensive to have the people speak, even though constitutionally you're answerable to us at all time? As I said, they were all nodding their heads like seals when we were there. Now all of a sudden, oh, we're going to revisit this and make it harder for the people to speak.
A second bite at the apple.
But a second bite at the apple, and they took a vote on it, by the way.
Yep, I know. That's what I'm saying.
So I want to see which one of those clowns makes a motion to reconsider.
I can already tell you who.
Because I can tell you Miss Laura Washington is not eligible to make that vote.
Right.
Because she was not on a prevailing side. She wasn't even at the meeting.
Well, here's the thing. City Councilor Laura Washington introduced a motion to see the 5% of registered voters threshold increased to 10, or about 5,000 signatures, to prompt a recall before it's brought to the City Council to schedule a recall election. Those petitioners would still have just 20 days to gather the signatures. Now, we gathered over 6,000 signatures in 20 days, if you remember.
Yeah.
Okay? But it was a hard threshold to break.
Now you're really inflaming me. This nitwit doesn't even know the process.
Right.
She's trying to undo a duly executed vote that at a meeting she didn't even attend and it was a quorum.
Right.
You have to make a motion to reconsider. They make up their own rules. How dare you run for public office after you just told the people you can screw you? I'm going to make it. Why don't you just put in a damn motion? We shouldn't have elections at all.
Right.
You just tell us who you want in the city council, as the mayor, as our state reps, as president of the United States. Why have elections? Why don't we have elitists like you just tell us exactly what you want? You call yourself and you waste money? Oh, let's give it to the boxing gym. Let's give 2 roofs of my taxpayer money to the Bank Street Armory. Not 1, but 2. And not hold them accountable about why they didn't spend that money on a roof that you gave them in the first place. You people on that council, except for Michelle Dion, are a disgrace to this community. It's too expensive to allow the people who buy. Read the Declaration of Independence. Read the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. There will be a legal challenge to that, too.
Well, here's the funny thing.
Because I'll tell you what, she pisses me off. Because that woman doesn't care about anything except their own opinion.
That's right. And here's the worst part about it. She sits there and says nothing, and then all of a sudden she opens her mouth and says nothing. She's a typical politician. Now, here's the thing. They're going to make the recommendations to the mayor by June 30th. They plan on passing those recommendations by a home rule petition. That's their position here, that it's going to go to a home rule petition to change everything. So, of course, everything they present to the mayor is what the mayor wants, not what the people want.
Yeah.
We waste our time going to speak before these people because they're not going to give us what we want. They're going to give us what they want, what the mayor wants. And that's not the way it's supposed to be. And as a matter of fact, this charter is such garbage that the Attorney General and the Secretary of State of the Commonwealth said that the charter that the city of Fall River had originally was the best charter that we could have.
Yeah.
And that this thing is not worth the paper it's printed on.
Well,
I wouldn't wipe my backside with this.
I'm going to tell you right now, because now I am totally infuriated. Because look, shoveling crap against the tide is not something I like to do.
Oh, I know.
I took my time to go down there and explain it, and they all agreed. Now all of a sudden, the coven kicks into action. So I'm going to tell you something. Councilor, not elected, Washington, you know where this studio is because you do shows.
You do shows here every week.
I challenge you to come here, sit right here, and tell me that it's too expensive for the people of Fall River to be able to change their government. Because if you ever read the Declaration of Independence, and I'm paraphrasing now, but I'll look it up, but I read it at that meeting. When a government fails to work in the best interest of the people have a right to change that government. So if the people of Fall River want to change somebody in midterm, they can. Our Declaration of Independence said it, and not only does our Declaration of Independence say it, it says in Part 4, Article 4 and Article 5 of our Constitution that you bonehead, are answerable to us. You don't make the rules. We do. So you're going to say it's too expensive for us to speak after you urinate money down a toilet every single damn meeting about crap that the voters don't want? You're spending that opera money. You didn't do a damn thing for anybody in the city of Fall River. Nothing. All for your friends. That's all you did. Anybody that look, the Coven's going to vote for you. You finished what, 11th or 12th?
11th.
11th? You should finish 18th this year. Because you don't deserve that seat. You should be out in there. You don't. And you know what you should do? When they tell you to swear an oath to the Constitution of this state and of the United States and to the laws, stick your hand up where the sun doesn't shine instead of putting it up because you don't care about the oath you take. That's disgraceful. Make it harder. You want a fascist government. Once you get in, they can't get your butt out.
Well, here's a quote.
Let's get 20-year terms. The hell with the 4-year term. Let's give them lifetime.
That's right.
Lifetime tenure.
People are very passionate, as you can see people coming out to vote in a recall election. They have something to say about the city, said Washington, who was part of the recall effort against Correa.
Yeah,
so I don't
not
think,
ours.
Yep. Yeah. So I don't think if there was a mayor who was doing things that were unjust, that people are going to sit back and not want to sign. You don't know why people don't want to sign. You know how many people we approached that refused to sign because they did not want repercussions levied against them by the mayor or by the city government? Because that's what this city does, is they issue repercussions.
Well, if you would have been there, you and the other cover-up artist, but you didn't, you would have heard why. Because I explained it, and I'm going to explain it again. Our recall was recalling a popular mayor.
That's right.
Supposedly. And that's what everybody said. You people are nuts. He got elected by 70% of the vote. Everybody likes him. Well, everybody stopped liking him in the middle of his term. Nobody was running up to us liking your recall, and you guys blew that. You couldn't even take him out of office.
That's right.
Everybody wanted him out, but you couldn't get people to the polls enough to beat him, could you? Because you were involved in that recall because you're a political hack, and that was a political recall. Our recall was a movement of the people, with guys like Josh Sylvia, with guys like regular people Yeah, Josh Font, all these people.
Yep.
They had to work every day, and after work, show up, go to Walmart, go to the supermarkets, try to get these signatures, and they worked their butts off. They knocked on doors. We had people knocking on doors. We got them, but we didn't get a lot more than we needed. We got them. But I'm going to tell you something, 20 days for an election when people are really upset with the political pressure we got in that election, that's the difference. Our recall was not popular with the politicians. Yours was. You didn't have to go and bring a lawyer in front of the elections board.
That's right.
You didn't have to go to court with a lawyer and look around for a lawyer that'll do it for virtually nothing, which is nearly impossible. You didn't have to do that to get an election through. But I can guarantee you when one of your friends gets recalled, you want to make it as difficult, if not impossible, to get anybody you support out.
And remember, our signatures were certified in August. They made us wait 4 months.
That's right.
4 months before we could have the election.
Yep.
4 months, and they gave us every excuse under the sun. And it was the city council who set the election date. Okay? So the city council was on the side of the mayor, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
Okay? Like we have right now, the city council on the side of the mayor. And I guarantee you that if they put through a recall on Paul Coogan, you would not see that until September. And they say, well, we can't have it now because it's a primary. And we can't have it now because it's less than 6 months from a primary election. So we're out of luck.
Why doesn't it surprise me that they are duplicitous to the... I'm not even going to go down anymore because it's a total waste of time. So what we're going to do is start a movement to reject anything. That's it. Yeah. And you're going to use a home rule petition? I don't think that's in order.
Well, it's what they're going to try to do, and we knew that was going to come down to that point.
Well, if there's a home rule petition, the reps here better realize that there will be repercussions for them.
That's right.
Because I can tell you, I already know somebody's going to be running in Westport, and I know there's going to be somebody running in the South End, too. And maybe even in the North End. Who knows? But I'll tell you.
And it's not us.
That's not us. That's right. I can tell you one thing. These people do not care about the law, about process, or about the people they are sworn to represent. They have got the connected and the disconnected. And the people, regular people, are disconnected. They don't care about you. They don't give one iota. Stuff like this, market rate housing, not even a word about affordable housing in a city where people are being displaced. This city is just it's worse than it's ever been for its disregard for the people who live in it under this administration and the people we've got in now. And the only way it's going to change is if the people get to the polls like they did in our recall.
Yep, definitely. Well, I want to talk about, we only got about a minute left, so Pamela Liberté.
Yes.
She pled guilty to 2 misdemeanors, and she had 2 felonies continued without a finding until December 29th. And she was fined, no, well, not fined, she was assessed a $50 victim witness fee, and she has until December 29th. She has to keep her nose clean, and if she does, her 2 felonies will be dismissed. So, amazing what happens to you when you're a politician, because you can walk away from everything.
Also, maybe those charges are a little amplified because other politicians wanted her to get a smack, too.
That's
so
right.
This is the problem. What a tangled web we weave. But, you know, love triangles, that's not even news, but it's news when you don't like the person
That's right.
who's involved.
That's right. And remember, the felonies were placed on hold, so guess what? They can't throw her off the council. So I'm sure they're happy about that. Well, I want to thank you all for watching. And remember, stay safe, stay angry, and hold your politicians accountable. We'll see you on Monday. Have a great day and a great